Welcome to the Marlene Saunders Show, where we have real talk and real conversations, and you're welcome to it. What's going on, chat family? I hope everybody's doing great. Happy Thursday to everybody, and welcome to the Marlene Saunders Show. Yes, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to today's podcast, to the Blah 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 podcast. And we're doing a continuation of what day was it? Monday? Or no, it was Tuesday. Yeah, it's a continuation of Tuesday. So thank y'all so much for coming back. And in the chat, we have Realist One here. How you doing, Realist One? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Yes, please like and sub up respectfully. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Realist One. Hey, Marianne, how you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope you're having a great Thursday. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing? Welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by, and if you guys could take a moment to hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. Yes, everybody. So you see the title, what we're going to talk about. Where we left off on Tuesday, we were talking about marriage and how a lot of people would just rather live together these days. They'd rather live together, as my mom and dad would say, shacking up. They'd rather, do that than to get married. My question is for me to not make any assumptions on the reasons why. I want to hear what you all have to say. But I'm going to first start off with this statistic that I found online. And it says that 60% of people don't want to be married. Um, and it's various reasons that they listed, because they were in bad relationships previously, because they were already married and divorced, and another reasons because they have children already. So those are some of the reasons. But I would add to this also, I think one of the increased reasons why people don't want to get married is because if they were a professional person, they don't want to have dealings when it comes to money, because they always say that money, financial issues is the reason why a lot of people wind up getting divorced. But I'm always open to hear what you all have to say. Always open. So, my opinion is, I feel some type of way. My opinion, I could go to the left and I could go to the right too. I can understand the reason why a lot of people don't want to get married, but if I'm being honest with myself in my heart of hearts, I definitely would like to be married. Like, your girl's trying to settle down, but it's hard to find that one person, especially when someone has done you dirty, play games with your heart. You're kind of like, you don't really want to open up your heart to be trampled on again. I get all of those things, but me personally, my personal opinion, yeah, your girl's trying to get married. I'm trying to get married to not just anybody, the right person. And I think it for me personally, I know some people say it doesn't, but my personal opinion, I do think it takes time. I definitely do think it takes time to find the person that you want to meet, and and then settle down. But that's my personal opinion. I think that people, no, I shouldn't say people, me, I would like to But when I was talking to some of my friends, some of my other girlfriends, and it's split. I have my main ace group um, of girlfriends, and out of the six of us, it's only three. So half. Three said they're not interested in getting married, and three said that they are. So I really think it's to each his or her own. But I first got to say, I think the biggest reason why a lot of people aren't getting married these days, like the reason that I stated, I think it's because of money. Money becomes a big issue, whether one person makes a lot and they want to protect all the money that they have, or they don't make enough, but yet they're still seeking to be in control of what you have. So I can kind of understand why that could be an issue and a problem with some people, but I want to hear what you all have to say. I want to hear everybody else's opinion on this topic, because it can be split. There's some people that they're very content, and I can understand how you can be content with it all. I can understand how somebody could just say, I'm just gonna just live together. As long as you find the person that you want to be with, um, and that satisfies you, then of course, to each his or her own. There's no judgments over here. It's a judgment-free zone. Hey, James, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Welcome. Happy Thursday to everybody in the chat. Those who are watching now live and those who are watching on the replay. What is your opinion? Um, the, they say that some people that's all they want, just to find the right person, and they would be satisfied, living together. Um, then there's some who there's no way, ain't gonna be no shacking up. Either you get married or you move along. Or there's another, a third. I always leave out that third set, the third set and third group of people who just want to remain single. They're good with that. Let's see. James said, I'm good. How are you? I'm doing great, James. Thanks for asking. Appreciate you all being here. If you have not hit the like already, I would definitely appreciate a like and a share. Yeah, I definitely want to hear what you all have to say. I'm going to put the link in the chat right here if you want to voice your opinion on this topic. Most definitely, I want to hear what you have to say. But my opinion is that coming from a relationship where I'm definitely not the type of person that is a controlling person in a relationship, but also I'm not a person who wants to be controlled either. So I think I'm a balanced person. Like, I let the person do them, do what they're gonna do. But also I would never be the type of person that I'm gonna be with you all the time. Like, I have to have my own life. You have to have your own life and have your own business and things that you're actively seeking. And I feel like that's usually a big problem that I run into. It's like when people get in relationships these days, it's like that's it. Like, who you're with is your entire life. Like, they want to know where you are every single minute of the day, what you're doing. And I just said I can't get down with that. That would absolutely drive me mad. I think that's the reason why the last relationship didn't work out. Like, I'm not a person. I don't want nobody trying to put me under their thumb or under their feet, controlling me, like asking me what I'm doing 50 million times of the day. That's just not gonna work. I don't know if everybody's like me, but I don't. I'm not that person, the needy person in a relationship. Like, go chill. Yeah, go chill. Go over there somewhere, and I'll see you later on. So it's like that. I think that control can be a big issue. But I also will say that I think a lot of people, when they are in the dating phase, people really don't state their true intentions. Like, people will say, and there's a lot of people that I know, and I will say that it's the majority women. They'll go into a relationship and say, I'm not trying to get married. I'm not trying to have kids. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to do that. And it's not true at all. They definitely want to get married. They definitely want to have children. And they deceive the person until, like, the relationship starts getting serious, and then they drop a bomb, and then they don't understand why the relationship broke off. A lot of people, they go into relationships deceitful, and I can't understand the reason why that could stop people from wanting to get married. They're constantly tired of being deceived, lied to, manipulated, controlled. All of that, all of that sometimes can happen when you sign on that dotted line for that marriage certificate. That people pretend that they're one way, and you find out you're married to a stranger. You're married to a crazy person. So I get that part. And that part is scary to me, very scary. And when I shared this out, there's one person that said on the community tab, nope, that they're not interested in marriage. They're not interested at all. And I get it. I understand. It depends on what you've been through. It depends on your age. It depends on your heart, if you're open or you're closed. But I'm interested to find out what are some of the reasons why um, people, I shouldn't say people, why you all, chat family, are not interested in getting married, or vice versa, why you are. My personal thing is, I think people will say that they're not interested in getting married, but I think it's just that they haven't found the right person. I think that's what it all boils down to. People will always say that I'm not interested in marriage because, number one, they've been hurt and they haven't healed and gotten over the pain and the deceit and all of that. And also, on top of that, they don't see anybody around that's interested in them, that is trying to make moves. So I think there's all of that. But also, I got to talk about, the people who just want to stay single. Um, I got a few girlfriends, never been married, and they said they're never interested in getting married. They're just about their own life, having fun. One of my friends, already has a kid, and they're like, I'm just going to stick with my kid, and we're going to live our life together and have fun, take care of each other, and that's about it, and wrap that thing up. So, do you all think that in relationship that, you know, going into a relationship with kids is the reason why people don't want to get involved in a serious relationship and get committed to that relationship? I, I thought about this, now with my situation in my life, when there's a kid involved and stuff, like, I'm very particular, like, who's going to be around them? Like, how are you going to be with them? Like, are you going to have a good relationship? All those things. Like, you have to think about a lot of things when it's not just you. You got to think about, your kid, and if your kid is going to be happy, if your kid is going to like them, do you gel well, or is it going to be problems? Because, I feel like it's not just about, when you get married, it's about not just you. It's about, when you get married to somebody, they marry the whole family, just like they marry your family and you marry theirs. So it's a lot of factors that go into it. Hey, Sirius, welcome. Thanks so much for coming through. Hope you're good. Doing all right. Thanks for everybody's support. Let's see what I see. Miss Tracy saying here in the comments. She said right, and she says control, cheating, doesn't spend time. Yeah, those are three big reasons. So I'm going to talk about the first reason you have here, Miss Tracy. Control. I think that was like my number one biggest issue, and I understand the same thing can happen with men too. That they could be with a controlling woman, and like that it just doesn't work when you have someone and they're trying to control you, especially when you've been in your own, on your own. You can handle your own thing. Like you really don't need anybody to help you. Like you're good on your own. So it's particularly difficult when you really don't need somebody, but you want somebody. Those are two different things. Some people they need somebody because they're struggling in certain aspects of their life, so they need somebody to help them. But when that's not the case for you, like when you don't need somebody to help you, you just want to have a really good relationship, then it's a whole different scenario. But I also will say, that cheating thing. Mm, that cheating thing, it's one thing cheating when you're dating somebody, that's one thing. But when you're cheating, when someone cheats on you, and it's a marriage and all of these, it gets so it gets so involved, because now it's like divorce, like, and if you had a home and splitting assets, and if you have children together, it's all of that. So I get it, it's a lot involved. I'm glad you're good, serious. Thank y'all so much for being here. It is. It's a lot involved, and I don't think I could. I don't know. Well, I'm probably gonna split some hairs, but I am definitely a person that I already know, in any marriage, that there was definitely gonna be a prenup. Definitely. Uh, I'm definitely a big person on prenup. I don't believe in, you know, you a person coming into the marriage doesn't work out, and then they're thinking they're going to get half of everything that you have. No, 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 mm-mm, no, no, sir. Exit left. I don't believe in that. And the same thing, vice versa. Same thing if it was on the vice versa, and it was a woman going into a marriage with the man, and she went in not having anything, and then the relationship doesn't work out, and then she gets half of what he has. I don't believe in that. I always think that what you came into a relationship is what you should leave with. If you didn't come in with nothing, you're not leaving with nothing. But it's a different scenario. Like if in the relationship, like you build a business, that's a different scenario. But I mean, like these people who get married, like I mean, for a minute, like maybe 2 months, 3 months, and then the next thing they're divorced and they want like 50 or 60 million dollars. I don't know. I see it all the time because everybody knows here. I live in Florida, and I see there's a lot of people who are athletes or entrepreneurs, business people. They own, these major corporations, and they get married to somebody. The relationship doesn't work out. Maybe it lasts for a few months up to a few short years, and then they want to take everything. And I mean, it's crushing. I think about like one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to get married, like just that hurt of the pain of divorce. Like it's embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for them. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm more on can understand 100% the reason why people just don't go through with marriage these days. I get it, but I think when something is something that you want, if you really do believe in wanting to be married and finding somebody and settling down with somebody, I just think you can't change that, no matter what you tell yourself. And a lot of people, they lie to themselves. I definitely don't believe in lying to myself. Right, serious. And people just don't do it right. They don't do it right. They get married. They have lots of assets, and I don't know, they get just they how would I say it? They get played. They get played. Like, they one person could be going into the marriage with this open heart, this open heart, like completely truly in love with the person, but the other person is not in it for that they're just in it to get something. Sometimes they even still have somebody on the side, a boyfriend or a girlfriend on the side still, even though they know they're getting married to this person. But it's just a business. It's just a business thing for them. They're just getting married to get the money, so their heart is not even there. Hey, puzzle pieces, how are you? Welcome. Happy Thursday to you and to everybody who is up in this chat. I appreciate everybody for being here. That's something a person has to be all in for. Yeah, but my question always has been, when you talk about marriage, how do you really know somebody is all in? How do you know that? Like, for sure, because you can put on a good game. You can put on a good game and be like, yeah, I'm in love with you. Yeah, I care about you, and can and do things and deceive people, and their heart is not in it at all. Hey, Caught, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And I want to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions here in this comment section. You know, I want to hear what you all got to say. Oh, we got Nexie. Hey,
Hey Marlene, how are
how are
you?
you?
Hi chat.
Good.
Doing good, doing good. You know, what was the question again? I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay.
I was just
Oh,
rushing through.
it's all good. The question is, do people want or believe in marriage anymore?
Okay. Um, I'm a mother of, older kids, right? Um, and when I got married, I'm older than you, of course. You're still a baby. But when I got married, it was a, how can I, it was like we were both going in to the marriage, um, with happiness, with the plan of, having a family, um, being together, the forever kind of thing. And, that was ages ago. My kids are 80s and 90s kids, right? Their mentality, I noticed that the world was changing when it came to marriage. And my kids, as they became teenagers and stuff, they started saying that marriage wasn't for them, that they didn't think they wanted to get married, which it was
Yeah.
a huge difference from us. But marriage, being married wasn't important, having kids wasn't important to them.
Yep. That's what I'm hearing a lot more because my nieces and nephews that are about in their 20s, and they're like, no, we're good with just living together, we're chilling, it's cool, we don't have to go through with the marriage thing. So it's everybody is different. I think it's because I saw a good example of marriage. Like my parents were married for 52 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I saw, a couple like, my mom had one kid going in the marriage, my dad had one kid going in the marriage, and then they had 8 kids together. So I saw what it is lasting, and I saw like the a relationship age. I remember being like maybe 9 or 10, and I saw, like, I guess you could say, the younger parents going out having fun, going to parties, and then I saw as they aged and got older, and then it started to be like it turned from them being like love to it being like they're friends now. So it
Yeah,
switched.
you saw what it could be, right? Growing up, like you
Mm-hmm.
saw what a marriage is and what it can and it could be. For me, I think that because of the times, I guess, right? Because everything changes. But I had not seen or measured the the drastic drop in people wanting to get married until I started seeing it with my kids. Even to the point where when I got married, kids, I wanted it kids right away. I wanted to have my babies. I wanted to, you know, take care of my kids and enjoy my babies and stuff like that. And for my kids, it's like, I don't know, it's okay if we have good, and if not, then oh well. We're not, my daughter said something to me one time when I asked her if why she didn't want to have kids, when she was younger, or why wasn't she thinking of kids. And she said that because she was too selfish with her time. She says, this is
Mm-hmm.
my life and this is my time. The time is mine, and I want to enjoy it myself. Do whatever I want whenever I want to. I'm too, and I was like, that's very strange, but it is very truthful as well. She was very truthful. She's too selfish with her time.
Yeah. Well, I can say that I'll be 100% honest with you. In my 20s, I had no. There's no way I should have been in anybody's relationship. Because I was, no, for real, I'm being 100% transparent and honest. I was too selfish at that time. I was too busy partying, and I was about my own world. I was in Marlene's world. Everything was about me. So of course it's going to be nothing but fighting, and that's just what I did, because it was like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Like, it's about me.
Is it still Marlene's world? No,
No,
but
no, that's been gone. But you have that time where you're in that phase where it's just about you, and then when that passes, that's like, and you're like, man, I think it's time to start finding my person. But that's a whole different story. To find the person, you may want it, but it's a whole nother thing to find what you want.
yeah, exactly. But and my eldest, she doesn't have any kids, and I don't know, she didn't want any, so I don't know if she's ever going to change her mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's never too late. But my second daughter, they have been married for some time now, and she got married, right? Finally, was a simple wedding, nothing big, um, but no kids. And her husband, she told her husband, I really don't want any kids, and if you're okay with that, I mean her future husband, right at that point,
Mm-hmm.
if you're okay with that, then we can get married. But if not, then I will suggest for you to find someone that wants that life,
Mm-hmm.
kids and everything. I'm not 100% sure I don't want them, but I'm 95 or 96% sure that it's not gonna be happening. I mean, now, right?
Right.
So he said okay. He accepted her, and he said, yeah, it's okay. If you don't want any, that's fine. It's enough that we're together and we're gonna start this, journey together. And that's how they were. And then all of a sudden, they call me and we're coming over. We want to tell you something. I thought they had gotten like a new puppy, or they were gonna go on a on a trip somewhere, or they want the lotto and they were gonna give me half of that money. But it wasn't any of that, Marlene. It wasn't any of that. And she wasn't looking for it. Like, but there it is, and she's like, she tells me, Mom, I'm so happy my baby girl surprised me because she knew that if she didn't surprise me, I was not gonna have her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, but she's 34, almost 34. She says she's okay with it. She's afraid, and scared of what's gonna happen, and everything. But she says I already had my fun. I'm
Mhm.
married. I'm settled. I have my business. I can afford a baby. So
Right.
now that she's already had her fun, she says that she's okay with it, but it wasn't in her plans. So
Yeah.
weird.
But you know what I will say? Plans change when you find when you I'm telling you, when you find the right person, your plans change. Like my mom said that all along. Like when she met my dad, she was like, I liked him good enough, but she said, but I wasn't trying to get married. She's like, we can hang out, and but my dad was like, no, it's not gonna be no hanging out. He's like, I'm looking for a wife. My mom was like, well.
Your dad was a smart man.
He said he knew right away,
Keep
but
looking.
he had to convince my mom. My mom was like, I don't know. And I just want to highlight this comment that Papa put up in here that I think, uh, you know, I'm not trying to force any opinions on anybody. I'm just stating something. But a lot of is a really small minority of people now are looking to be married first and then have children. You know, to each his or her own, but it's a very small population of people who they feel that they have to be married now before they have children.
And that's actually, if you're the type that is going to have, I think it's something important to do. Again, my
Hmm.
opinion, not Marlene's, and
Yeah,
I'm not trying to change anybody's minds, get into anybody's view. That's it's my opinion.
right. I think it complicates things when it's not your husband. That's my personal opinion. It makes it more complicated. Um, let's hear what Realist One has to say. He says, "That's one thing I told myself, that I would be married for at least sure sure I don't know what that says. And the other person wanted to stay together with no intent on breaking up in order to have kids." Okay, Realist
Hmm.
One.
It
And
is
he said,
so.
"Oh, go ahead, Nexie."
No, I was gonna say to realist, and that is an important thing. It is. It breaks my heart, Marlene, to see the things that go on. Um, I when they come to the hospital, right, to bring the kids, and mom is with the boyfriend, and then dad comes over because the baby's sick or the little one is sick or whatever, and to see the animosity around them, the looks, or the problems, that why are you here, you know and it's not your day, you're not supposed to be here. It's like the baby's sick, whose day it is, who cares, right? But it's very important that if you're going to have them, or if things don't work out, at least remain friends with the person that you have lived with and loved, for the time that you were with them, and make that baby.
Yep, yep. I believe that 100%. And what Realist is saying right here, a lot of women are actually surprised when they meet me that I have no kids. That's a that's a it's like something very strange when people find out like you have no children. It's like you're very strange. They're like, what do you mean you have no kids?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
son, the real is a young man, and a lot of kids, they already having kids out of high school.
Hmm.
Boys, a lot of men, a lot of boys.
Yeah.
And it's I'm happy just that my kids, they didn't have any kids when with anybody until now that they're married. My son's, I mean, my little one, no, I don't worry about him, but my son just got married. It's going to be a year in October, and they have no kids yet, and he's in, early 30s. My daughter is the one that is going to have babies. She's been married for a while, so I'm glad that they didn't have them when they were at an age that they were still growing themselves,
Mm.
because I'm
Yeah.
sure it would have not lasted. I'm just being honest. It would have not lasted.
Mm. And that's why you have to know what you're about and what is good for your personal relationship. Hey, word, welcome.
Hey, can y'all hear me? I'm trying to get my Bluetooth to work, but for some reason it's
Yeah,
not connected.
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't even
I
know
don't
you
want
was
to, but I
live.
hear you.
I just finished editing a video and I looked up right and then I looked at the topic and like this is perfect. And
Yeah.
then a comment Realist just made too. I missed most of it, so I'm just going off of what I just heard. But with the lifestyle that I lived, running around, people were shocked and amazed that I didn't have kids. But that was one of the reasons. I believe I was talking to Nexie. It was either last night or earlier today. I was saying that when I was younger, with the type of lifestyle I was living, I didn't want to have a kid, nor did I want to put a woman in a position of being my wife because I just knew I wasn't living right. You know, I wasn't marriage material at that time, so I didn't force it, and I cultivated myself and became the man that I felt that a woman would be proud of to say, that's my husband and this the father of my children. And once I did that, I found the right woman and I began my family. But I don't know if people really, I don't think people truly understand what marriage is. I think they just go along with it because that's the thing most people been, us as humans, we've been doing that since we've been writing things down and it's getting married. But people don't understand how much work it takes. And it's constant work. It's not something that you do and um, it just grows or becomes something special. It's something you got to constantly work at, day in and day out. One of the biggest things that I learned from my marriage is um, me as a husband is not just important for me to provide and for me to protect, but also um, understand my wife and understand the changes that she go through because I'm gonna have to adapt to that. Women are emotional, men are logical, and I think a lot of men forget to feed that emotional side of women. Um, just looking at studies, when most women cheat, is because their emotions are not being fulfilled. I gotta find a charger with me. I'm gonna go on mute real quick.
All right, it's all good work. Thanks for sharing that. And I really like what you said right there, where you said that you know you didn't want to have children, or because you weren't in a position to take care of children, and you also already knew what you were doing. So I have to respect somebody who knows when they're not ready, because it's not like I always say that it's not that you can't get married. It's just it's not the right time for everybody. It's not the right time, or it's not the right person. So you got to actually know, when you're in a position to actually be ready, and to not like force yourself into that, because that happens in a lot of cultures, that people will get themselves involved in a marriage. They don't want to get married. They don't like the person, but they're doing it to please their family.
That is so true. That is so true, Marlene. And the thing is, and that's why for me, having my kids, I always wanted to make sure that they didn't marry. Just of course course, first you want to make sure they marry someone, that is worthy of them. And then you don't want them to marry too young either, because from self experience, right? I didn't enjoy my youth. I was already married. I wanted my kids. I wanted them to enjoy it. I wanted them to um, have fun. Date, um, travel. So for all those things, I wanted them to wait. Now, that was I didn't voice this to them, right? Of course not, because you don't want to put your own ideas into their little heads. You want them to come up with their own with ideology of what they want to do with their life. Either I want to get married or I don't want to. But it is I see my kids, and and my kids' friends, their friends. I see their friends as well. Maybe one, or out of the group, probably like three or four maybe got married young and had kids young, and they're not together anymore. But the majority of my kids' close friends, they got married later, like rather than early, like either late 20s, or um, a couple of friends of my daughter just got married, and they're in early 30s as well. So it is nice that these kids have been able to make up their own minds, not just follow a family tradition, like you said, like, okay, get married. My mom got married young, so I want to do the same thing, and I want to have babies young too. So they didn't follow that. They had their own decisions to make, and I like that. I like that very much with them. I wanted them to be able to, like Word said, get married when you're ready. Get married when you're
Mhm.
mature, when you're able to understand your partner. Of course, you know as well as me, marriage is not easy, right? It is
Mhm.
hard because it's two different people coming together. But like you said, if when you were younger, there was no point of you getting married. You were too busy having fun,
Mhm. And a lot of times that people, this is one thing that
right?
people
And
really don't. Oh, I'm sorry, Nexty. Go ahead. I thought you were.
no, 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 go for it, go for it. No, 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 no. I was giving you the
Oh,
time to
okay.
answer.
I was just gonna say that a lot of times like people will I always say to my girlfriends, is a conversation we have all the time, but it's like you see a lot of women, and I'm not saying men don't do it too, but it's usually a woman thing, that people are in love with the idea of getting married. They're focused on the wedding but not the marriage. So they're putting
Mm-hmm.
all this into the ring, and the parties and this and the
The
celebration,
dress.
and yeah, the dress and the suit and whatever, the bridal party. But then after the I do, when you're living with the person, like there's nothing there, there's no connection, like it's just not right. So people have the wrong focus. And I was like, I see it all the time. I'm like, wow, they're getting married. Like, okay, this will be interesting.
You already know who your friends, who those people are, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh man, what a mistake. It's funny you bring that up, because a lot of people do that. And I before you used to see that people wanted a nice dress or whatever, but right now it's way out of hand. I see these women spending 15, $20,000 on a wedding dress. I see them wanting to have these lavish weddings. If you don't give me, the this amount of money for my wedding or whatever, I don't want to have a wedding. I don't want to get married, or I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. What they don't think, and I think it's like you say, they're so in love with the idea that how they're gonna look that day, that pictures are gonna come out perfect. My hair is gonna be flowing through the wind. What they don't understand, and they probably don't see until they're in the marriage, is that they're gonna be kicking themselves a tush if they lived in an apartment and they paid $2 grand for a dress. They could have put that down for a house. Once they're in that apartment with all those gifts, and you don't have a place to put them, you want to be like, shush, maybe I should have not bought that dress. Why did I pay $30,000 for a dress? Or why did I pay $40,000 for a banquet? Why did I, and I see that a lot of people, like you said, they're in love with the idea of marriage. And there's people that just go to city hall, get married, and they still married and happily married.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
It's just
I had. Oh, I'm sorry. Word was saying something. We'll let Word talk.
oh, oh my bad. I just wanted to drop this in real quick because we talked about maturity. Next, we just dropped some sauce when she said she wanted people to mature. She wanted her kids to mature first. And I think people, when they hear the word maturity, they don't understand that it's a spectrum. It's not just one, you're just not mature. It's a spectrum. So, like, I was intellectually mature at a young age, but I wasn't socially mature. I didn't comprehend how to properly interact with someone. And I equate social maturity into a marriage because it's like she said, it's two people coming together. So when you look up social maturity, it'll tell you the interactions between people. And most people aren't mature in their own right, let alone mature enough to properly interact with people, understanding how to problem solve. Most people get upset in a marriage, and the first thing they do is call a friend, a family member, and start telling their business. Now you got other people in the marriage. That's one thing I learned from watching and observing other people. Don't ever bring people into your marriage. And to me, that just shows the lack of social maturity, understanding how not only to interact with your spouse, but how to interact with other people after you get married. You can't do the same things, you know. Flirting, there's no room for flirting. People think it's innocent, but it's not. Because even flirting while you married, you putting or giving people signals, and there's no telling how a person will react or respond to that, and you just cause issues. So you got to have a high level of social maturity too before you even decide to get married. That's why I said most people don't understand what they're getting into marriage, how much work it takes, how much change you have to do um, on a personal level, and how much compromise you have to go through. Well, I'm a Taurus. I'm a bull-headed person. I don't really budge off a stance, but to be a complimentary piece to my wife, I have to be, I have to compromise.
And that's so true. Word, compromise is the name of the game. And I can say that, it took me a long time to actually get that. And I wasn't in any position or getting married or anything, but it took me a long time just as a woman just to be able to process emotion and to be able to handle things without having a meltdown and to not feel like I was personally attacked. Just me on my own. So much less when you're in a relationship, if you don't know how to handle your own emotions and finances and change, no, learning how to adapt, that things aren't going to be the way that you want to if you're still a selfish person, then I feel you're just personally not ready for marriage.
And I wanted to add a little to what Word said about flirting. You said something about that word when you're married.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, no, no, that's okay. I'm sorry. It's just that I was like, did I hear that right? But to me, I feel that when you're married and you have a flirtatious husband or wife, for me, that's a form of cheating. I don't see it as an innocent flirtation or, oh, that's the way he is. I feel that that's cheating. It doesn't, for me,
Bingo.
doesn't need the act to happen. I feel that the minute you do that, that you start flirting, even if it's, just joking around with someone, flirty like that, and that's disrespectful, and it's a form of cheating. And that can create a lot of chaos in a marriage.
And that's to
So that's
me,
all
I
I wanted to
mean,
say.
Yeah, we share the same opinion because um, I don't believe you have to have sex with someone to cheat. I mean, you can do it
Mm-hmm.
mentally because where the
It's
mind
emotional.
goes, eventually the body will follow. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, giving a person your mind and you married, I mean, to me, that's like I said, eventually um, it's gonna lead. And if you open just doing it with everybody, it's almost like you shopping around to me to see who's. It's like you putting a fishing rod in the lake. There's a whole bunch of fish in there, but usually only one bite. So that's kind of what flirting is to me. See if a person go bite.
Exactly.
Mm.
And a lot of people, Marlene and I were discussing this the other day, also on, um, at least for me, cheating in a marriage, it's a no-no. And I mean, for me, is that ends the marriage. Because when you're in love with your spouse, there's no room for anybody else in your mind or in your heart. So when your spouse cheats on you, that means that person no longer loves you. And that's game over for me. I
Yeah,
don't forgive
I
that.
I agree. I agree, Nexie. Let's welcome Mary B.
Hey, hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Mary B. Good in yourself.
Hi.
Hey.
Mary B in the house. What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Woo, woo.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to get my perspective because I knew I had Marlene rolling earlier. Um, yeah, no, I used to believe in it and want it for myself earlier, but well, when I was a little bit younger and stuff, and I used to think about wanting to be married by the age of 24 with two kids, and I was like, oh, I want to have a boy and a girl and be married by the age of 24 with two kids. Of course that changed or whatever. Of course, I had my son at 27 and was a single parent um at 27. Um but yeah, no, and at the age of 47 now, I'm still still single and never been married, and now it's totally changed. I'm like, no, don't ever want to get married. I'm cool. I'm straight. If I have a life partner or something, that would, that'd be fine. If he has his own place, um, and I got my own place. I'm now a homeowner. So I'm like, he can have his own place. I have my own place. We don't have to live together. And I'm like, I could spend night with him. He can spend the night with me. We don't ever have to get married, and I'm cool. And I think, the reason now, because I see how marriages are, I'm surrounded by a lot of people that I know are, pretty much friends and stuff that everybody I know um, have cheated on their partners. And so it's like, I'm like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? So either they've cheated or or have thought about it, or they're married just for convenience. And I'm just like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm just like, what's the point? Like, it's not like how it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the days where, it seemed like people were just in love with each other and the respect was there. um it's a bunch of chaos that's going on. They're miserable, and I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm straight. I'm like, my life as being single is a lot better than these people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, y'all giving me a headache, you know? So like I'm straight. Like there's nothing positive about it except for the fact, yeah, they have an extra income, you know, but it's a bunch of chaos and stuff that's going on. So it's like I'm straight and lusting out after other people, and you know, um it's a lot going on. So that's why I said I'm like, I'm good, like I'm cool on it. It's just completely, I don't know. And then also too, like I said, in my inboxes, I got married men in my inboxes all the time, and I'm just like, it's disgusting, you know. because it's just like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it like that today? What's really going on? Um, and it's just, I don't know. It just seems like the times have changed where I don't know, like, where is it that, what's going on with these marriages? I don't know. It's just doesn't seem like people are
Mary,
happy anymore.
yeah. Or you know what it feels like, Mary B? I'm sorry to interrupt if I did.
No, go ahead.
I feel like I feel like people don't want to work at it. I feel
Yeah.
like people are they get married, these lavish weddings, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want the perfect dress, the perfect venue, the perfect view for the pictures, the perfect cake, the perfect tuxedo, the perfect everything wants they want everything to perfection, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that they assume that the marriage, because everything else was perfect, that's exactly what it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be. The minute things get
Yeah.
rough, then there's no substance in the marriage. It's all about the
Mm-hmm.
image that you're going to portray, right? The pictures, this, that, and there's no commitment. It's more like, okay, if
Right.
it doesn't work, then we can always get divorced. There's a lot of people getting
Mm-hmm.
divorced. You can always get divorced and get remarried, but they don't want to put the time and the effort that it takes to make things work.
Right. Exactly.
That's how I
Exactly.
feel.
And then let me add this too, because like I believe in universal laws. So like duality exists in everything. So just like and next to um you can you probably can relate to this too. So like if someone goes into the medical, you too, I forgot everybody on this panel is either in or I was in the medical field, but like a doctor, right? A doctor
Mm-hmm.
go into the profession for the good reason, for the
Mm-hmm.
positive reasons to help and heal people. Those are usually some of the best doctors. But some people go in for the money,
Mm.
and you see, and then when they go in, you see the results. You know, they don't really care about the patients. They trying to get them in and out. That's how marriage is. If you go in with the right intentions, with the right person,
Mm-hmm.
it can be something beautiful. But if you just do it because, like you ladies was just stating, because of the glamour of it, because of the recognition, because of the parties, and that's what you gonna get. So it's what you put into things, and
Right.
it's the same thing can exist two different things can exist in the same plane. So you're gonna see marriages that work out, you're gonna see marriages that don't. But in our society, we focus more on the negative things. Those are the things that are personified that we see up in our face. It's a negative aspect. But like just meeting a couple, what really hit home with me for marriage is I had a client when I was doing real estate. They was selling a house and they was downsizing because they was older. They was 80 something years old. They got married. He was 17. She was 19 when they got married. They
Mm-hmm.
both in their 80s, and they only been with each other. They never cheated. And I'm asking him, I said, "How did y'all stay together for so long?" He said, "Because we got together for the right reason."
Mm.
And that
Mm.
stuck with me. That stuck with me. Some people get with people just because they look good, not because of their personality.
Mm-hmm.
Some people
Mm-hmm.
get together because of finances, not because they love the person. They just love the person or love what the person can give them. They love
It's
what the
true.
person,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and
I've
that in
heard of.
itself.
He has good
Oh no,
insurance,
go
so
ahead.
no, I
Hey,
said
my first
I've heard
investment,
he has great insurance, so
Yeah.
you-
um
my my
but
first
the thing
marriage,
is,
you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, word, go ahead.
I was about to say that's why I got married the first time. I had good insurance and she didn't. And she almost, she had a bad asthma attack and almost died because she didn't have insurance. So I was like, we together, let's get married. The worst mistake I ever made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I know.
I
Ooh,
can say
word.
from what my mom used to say all the time, because she said the whole thing that made she said what made her change her mind about marrying my dad, because when she met him, she already had a child and she wasn't interested in marriage, but she said it was his qualities. She said within 2 months, she said I already knew. She said I would be crazy if I let him go, you
Mm.
know. She said for the things that he did for me, she said I had people who were my own blood that wouldn't do that for me. She
Mm.
said she said like he would buy things for my daughter, you know, ask her how was your day at school. Like he had more concern for my child more than he had for me. So she said that became appealing. And that, and he said, you know, I'm just interested in your friendship first before anything. And she said, and then after that, it was a wrap. She said, then the love just grew.
Yeah, and see, I
Hmm.
can understand that. I can definitely understand that, Marlene, because you know what, my son's father was like that towards me. Unfortunately, he passed away. You know, um, and I would probably say if he didn't pass away, he probably would have been the guy that I would have married. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
he was that type of man that treated me. Which is probably how I ended up with my son, but I'm telling you, he was like the best guy that I had ever, dated. Um, and that, I mean, he totally just swept me up off my feet. Um, I mean, I never even like used to even have guys open doors for me. And he used to be like, and he's like, what are you doing? Let me get that door. And I'm like, I used to have to go. I was going to open up doors. I wasn't used to guys paying for me. That was the crazy thing. And he used to be like, "What?" And he's like, "I got that. I'm gonna pay for that." And I'm like, and I used to jump in front of him to pay for stuff, And I'm like, "Let me pay for something for you," And he would like not let me pay for stuff, and I would have to jump in front of him to pay for stuff, and I would have to snatch tickets off of the table, and try to pay for something because he would never let me pay for anything and stuff. So, I completely understand what your mother, how she definitely married your father. So, I would, I definitely, unfortunately the blood clot came and took my son's father away. So I probably, that probably could have been my husband.
He
But
was your penguin.
yeah, and so that probably would have been my husband if he would have, if he would have survived his blood clot. But, um, like I said, it would have to be somebody that would have been him. That would have to come into my life to be him. But the way things are going now, and these guys that I have been coming across, baby, let me tell you, no, no, ma'am, no, sir. Okay, uh, absolutely not. You know
you
what I'm
know,
saying?
Mary Beats, a lot of time I've had, how you have those friends, those male friends that are I like your brothers,
Uh
right?
huh.
Your brother's friends, my sister's guy friends, they're like brothers to me.
Mhm.
And I have a couple of them that they're still married. They've been married for 30 years almost with their spouse, but I see the amount of carelessness that goes into this marriage. Sometimes the wives are so I don't know, because I guess they're my friends. I see it in a wrong light, but they take advantage of this guy's kindness,
Mhm.
and a lot of there's a couple of them that their wives are so rude, so um, they put him down in front of friends, sometimes disrespectful.
Mhm.
It's all about them.
Mm.
If they have a headache, they make the poor guy get up and go get something for their headache. They don't even want to do that. um, and they're always talking crap about them to
Mm.
us, to his friends.
Mm.
If they don't like the my friends' families, and every time they show up to come and see their son or whatever, mom, dad, or siblings, um, that person goes into her room and closes the door.
Mhm.
Doesn't come out until the parents or the siblings leave.
Mm.
And it's been like that for 30 years.
Very immature.
Oh my goodness.
30
Yeah.
I and
years.
and 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 I've seen so many immature things like, I just can't believe how some people are in marriages. Like, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to do in their relationship, but like things like when someone like they start raising their voice, like basically yelling at one another, making embarrassing somebody in front of their friends or their family, or like making them feel less than, make them feel really small. I don't understand that. That's it. To me, it almost turns into some marriages is like they're with their child and not with their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And,
Mm-hmm.
and and they're disrespectful like that too over the phone. You know, their
Right.
mom is like our mom. So when we go visit her, she's always asking us, "How is he doing? Do you think he's doing okay?" I haven't seen her in like 5 years because every time we go there, she goes to her room. But are they okay? And I'm thinking, how can you do that to your in-laws?
Right. Right.
And now because the kids are older, she doesn't do this. But when they used to show up and the kids were little, she would bring the kids into the room with her and not allow the grandparents to see them.
Mm. That's
And if he was
horrible.
on if he's on the phone with them for a long time, sometimes she even hangs up the call. You've been there too long. And we're thinking like, what happened to your cajones?
They don't have any.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like one thing that I definitely like a big issue that I always
She
have
doesn't do
in.
because she knows I'll mop the floor with her. She wouldn't do that.
um,
But how can he stay for 30 years
Ooh.
in something like that?
I think a lot of times that the issue usually is, sometimes when you're in a relationship for a long time and you think like this is all I can get, this is
Mm-hmm.
all I can have. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of just settle back and thinking this is all I can get, this is all I deserve. And especially if you're with somebody who's toxic, they'll tell you nobody else will ever want you, so their self-esteem is in the toilet.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
but when her parents come to the house, oh, he has to cater to them. And
Mm.
she doesn't even know where to put him. And bring my father some water. Get my mom soda. You want soda? You want something to drink? And it's like, dude, like, why not, put your foot down and say, hey, my parents deserve respect too, right? But that's the way their marriage is, and there's nothing we can do about it. I cannot, you know, go and tell him, like, what the heck, ask him, what the heck are you doing? Or
Right.
what happened to you? I can. It hurts me because I see that he could have done so much better. But the worst thing is, he doesn't see it. For
Mm.
him, he got the best thing there ever is or ever was. He doesn't see that this person, first of all, probably doesn't even love you, because
Right.
somebody that does love you respects you, your family, and loves you and your family, all of you.
Mm.
And but he doesn't see that. He thinks that he got super lucky and that he got the best thing there was out there, and he's the luckiest man in the world. In our eyes, you know it's not all that. I've seen better, I've seen prettier, right? But for him, that's it.
Mm.
And he's
Yeah.
insecure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole thing is that that's probably, it may be the next part that I cover and we talk about, but like why is it that somebody who looks a certain way attracts somebody that, and you're like, wow, they're way out of their league. That's a question that I've always had. Like,
Yes.
what will
And
what
Marlene,
like how in
trust
the
me.
world?
Trust
Mm-hmm.
me. This guy is wow. And you look at her and you're like, really? That's what's up?
Right.
And even when they were younger, because we grew up together, like we know each other. So we will all look at him like, are you sure, man? We couldn't say, dude, what's up with the dog, right? We couldn't say that. But he was in love, and he still is.
Mm-hmm.
We thought he was gonna wake up at one point and realize it, but no, he's still, thinking that she's too much for him. And I wish I could say, dude, no.
Right. Right.
There's a
Exactly.
lot better out there that will respect, you and
Hmm.
your family. And I feel that he gets sad because when his parents are around, if they ever come around, he has to tiptoe around her, but that's his fault too.
Yeah, he let the disrespect go on for way too long, and he tolerated it
Hmm.
for way too long from her. And now she's just like, this is what I can do, and I can talk to him however and treat him however.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't give his parents any respect.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And it's true what they say. People are only going to do what you allow them to do, and and they're going to treat you, and however you allow them to treat you, that's just what's going to happen over time. I mean, if you're going to allow yourself to be treated like trash, that's what they're going to continue to do. They're going to treat you like trash. So if you set yourself up for that, they're going to that's what's going to happen. They're not going to, they're going to be like, okay, I can just go ahead and run over you, you know
Hmm.
and I had to find that out, with my ex, even with my high school sweetheart. I found that out later with him because, he would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend the night at my mama's house," because him and we lived together at one point, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna spend he would park, so he would come and he would drop his car off at the apartment, right? And then he would catch the bus he would catch the bus back over to like where his mom lived and he would hang out with his homeboys, and then he'd be like, I'm gonna stay the night at my mom's house and stuff. I said, oh, no, the hell you ain't. I said, I'm gonna come pick you up. Cause I was like, what you ain't about to sit up here and do, thinking that you're gonna rip and run the streets and, you know,
Hmm.
be doing, thinking that you're gonna be running the streets and on me all night. Like,
Yeah.
nah, that ain't what's gonna happen. I said, I'm gonna come pick you up. Oh, he's like, well, I can just go. I said, nope. I said, you moved out of your mama's house because she was getting on your nerves. So I'm gonna come pick you up.
Yeah.
And because I was like, I ain't no fool, you know what I'm saying? So I hopped in that old 97 Nissan Altima and I went and picked his butt up. I was like, I don't care if it's 11:30 at night, I'm in my PJs, I'm coming to get you. And sure enough, did went and picked him up. And so, years later, when he got we were out no longer in our relationship and he was with his wife and stuff, and he was married to his wife and stuff, and then him and we remained friends. He said, you know what, Mary, he said, one thing about you, he said, I could never pull anything on you. He said, I remember, he goes, I would tell you, I'm gonna stay the night at my mama's house. He said, you be like, nope, I'm coming. He said, I've been and dropped the car off at the apartment. He said, you be like, I'm coming to get you. I said, you damn right. He said, I could never, he goes, with her, he goes, I tell her, oh, I'm gonna be doing this. She be like, okay, or whatever. And he's like, man, I be doing this, that, and the other. I said, yeah. I was no fool. I said, let me tell you something. My mama didn't raise no fool. I said, my mama taught me a lot of stuff about men. Okay. I said, I didn't give a daggone if it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, let me tell you something. I said, when you moved up out of your mama's house, when you made plans, you talking about she was getting on your nerves, you moved up out of there for a reason. I don't care if it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was going to be in that 97 Altima coming down that freeway, coming to pick you up in the morning. I was like, I knew what you was doing when you was dropping that car off. I said, this food, I said, you think you had me fooled. I was like, mm-hmm. I was gonna be up in them and then I'm coming right down that freeway coming to pick you up.
That's
And
the
I said,
thing.
I saw that look on you.
They think they have you fooled though. That's
They
what they
do.
think.
They do. Because when I pulled up at his mama's house, it was him and his homeboy was standing there looking at each other like, dang, man.
She showed up.
Yeah, she really showed up. I said, mm-hmm. Hey, Malik. Yeah.
And you get in the car. Let's go.
Right. I was like, let's go.
Calling everybody by their full
Yeah.
government name.
Right. Right.
Oh, my kids know when I call them by that name, they're like, "Oh, we're in
Mm-hmm.
trouble." But
Uh,
Mary, that's the thing though. A lot of people, I don't know if it's because they want to avoid the conversation or the drama or the fight, whatever it is that they want to avoid. But for me, a marriage is something on. If you marry the right person, you can talk. You can sort anything out.
Right.
But for me is if you're getting married, these people think like my friend's wife thinks that she married just him. You marry the entire family,
Yeah, you
Mhm.
do. You
his
do.
family
Mhm.
and your family. They're both, they're one, just like you are trying to be. But these people, they want to make these differences, and we were hoping that he was gonna wake up, right, and see the light or whatever, but we're doubting now that
Right.
he's ever going to
Yeah.
see it. But the thing is, and
Right.
this is what's happening with marriage right now, is that the minute something doesn't go the way they like it or the way they thought in their little brain that it was going to be the perfection of a marriage, the first
Mm-hmm.
thing, divorce. It's not even counseling, let's see if we can
Right.
work this out. Look,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we should talk to someone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
something got us here, right? Why not
Mm-hmm.
sort it out going through counseling?
I know.
Let's go get some therapy. No, no, no. The first thing, I want a divorce. That's
But
it.
Yes.
but but you know what? Just like what we were talking about yesterday, they don't have any foundation of friendship.
No.
And like my mom always said, that she said, i could I understand why people divorce. She said, because if, okay, yeah, in the beginning, it's that romantic, it's the vibe, it's the desire, the lust, all those things. She said, but then after a while, then it's about, like business, like getting things together, like for family and finances, and then that changes when kids are growing, that changes. She said your relationship keeps evolving, and you have to be with somebody who is your friend at a certain point, because she said sometimes that, she said it stopped being about her for about 4 years when my dad got sick.
Mm.
So I remember, I can say for my mom, I have a lot of respect for her, because she said, I stopped thinking about myself for 4 whole years. She said the whole time when my dad had my cancer, everything was him, waking him up, if he
Mm-hmm.
was vomiting or whatever, bathing him through
Right.
the night, turning him. It had nothing to do with her. So if
Mm.
you don't really, like, if somebody is not your friend,
Mm-hmm.
she even said, she said love is not even enough to describe what you have in a marriage. She said sometimes, like, it's not a time where you even love them. She said the love, that's nah. She said it's no
No.
love then. She said then it's all about friendship.
Yes.
Mm.
Remember I told you, Marlene, that the one, just one little choke, where he turns a little purple, then let go. Yeah, you get there. You just want to grab that little, that little person, and just make him turn purple sometimes. And most of the time it's like that, because like I said, it's two people fighting, two people going together, fighting for a good marriage or whatever. but
Mm-hmm.
but still, even, and she's right, without friendship you don't have anything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the
Yep.
same thing I always tell people. Let's say you work your marriage for 10, 15, 20 years, it doesn't work out. I always tell people, make sure that, if you have to separate, or if you have to divorce a person that you have children with, make sure that you know you divorce, or your separation is as amicable as you entered into marriage is. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot be enemies. And I see these people fight and fight. And we had an incident about 2 weeks ago, on a game, on a kids game. I was so busy that day. We had an influx of like 13 people, including children, that came from a Pee Wee football game. I guess the mom came with the boyfriend. The dad of the little kid was there. The score, something about the score of the kid. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I didn't get the whole scoop, but either somebody was yelling about the score, and then dad came into a blows with the referee or whatever he was. Then this one, I guess the boyfriend said something, then the dad answered, and so they got into blows with that one too. And then there was a gun involved. and there was a shooting, and even kids went everywhere because everybody started fighting. And it's like what's happening? There were no casualties, but there was a lot of people, fighting and in front of these kids. And that has to that has to be the more immature thing I had ever heard in my
Mm.
life.
You know what irritates me the most, Nexi, Mary and Chat, is when I see people and the relationship breaks up, and either the man or the woman, they leverage the kid, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Yes.
I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna do this, and oh, you can't see the kid, or your daddy is this, or your mama is
Mm-hmm.
that. I don't like when they leverage a kid, like, to put them in between
Right.
their problems in their relationship. Like, if you're having an issue with each other,
Mm-hmm.
that has nothing to do with the child.
Right.
I don't like when people involve children in their, like, if you have a falling out with a person and you have an issue, that has nothing to do with the child.
Right.
Exactly.
Nothing. Like,
Right.
he grown up.
And it has a lot to do with immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen patients, like I said, since I take care of little ones, when it's the mom and dad, no big deal. But when it's, they're separated, and then the mom or the dad brings it in, then what did you do to her? Or what did you do to him? And then the fighting. What are you doing here? It's not your time. It's not your turn. This is my weekend. And I go outside and I
Yeah.
say, hey, 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 hey. I go, shh, be quiet. If you guys want to fight, go to the room over there. There's a waiting room. Go to the left. There's a door. Lock yourself in there. But right now, you have to take care of your child. Like, what the
Right.
heck?
Right.
But they use their children as leverage for
They do.
everything. For
They do.
everything. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
sad because the child is the one who ends up losing on both ends
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
resents both parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or everything becomes ugly about, and then what I don't like is like everything becomes ugly about that partner too, and it's like it's nothing positive. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you guys were together at one point. Now everything is ugly about this person. There's nothing positive about that person, you know.
Hmm.
But that's about relationships, period, too, though. It's nothing positive about this person. But it's like you were once with this person, so there's nothing positive about this person. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's something that I don't like, period. It's like, when things go awry in any type of relationship, friendships or anything like that, it's like it's all this negativity stuff and nothing positive, you know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's like all this bad stuff is being spewed, but nothing positive. But you had all this positive stuff to say about this person before, but now all of a sudden this person is just, oh, it's all this angry stuff, and that's what I don't like to hear, because
Hmm.
I had to stop my ex from saying stuff like that about his ex-girlfriend. you know
Hmm.
I used to, I couldn't stand it. I said, I said, I said, you're always tearing Cindy down. And I said, and I'm gonna have to stop you from saying stuff like that about her. I said, because my thing is, what did you do? What did you do to her? I said, because all I'm hearing is about stuff that she did to you, and stuff that she did in the relationship, and she did this and she did that. I said, but I know it's not all her. I said, and I said, because I know that you were part of the problem as well. You
Hmm.
know, I said, and when a person is always spewing about this person is doing this and this person is doing that, but they can never take any kind of accountability about what they did, there's always
Hmm.
that's a problem. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But when, because I can always sit up here and say, you know what, hey, this is where I messed up at.
Hmm.
This is where I went wrong. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And I can sit up here and admit my faults. But when a person is always sitting up here saying, this person did this and this person is this and this person that, and they got this halo around them, like they're, you know what I'm saying, like they're coming
The
off,
saints.
like saints and angels and everything else, and they're the victim. Oh, no, 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 no,
Hmm.
no, baby, let me tell you something.
Yeah, you
you,
got all the receipts.
you better watch it. You better watch it, and you better pay close attention, because let me tell you something. There is something way deeper than what you really than what something really is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So be
Yeah.
careful of those people that play the victim all the time. And I can, and it's so funny because my ex used to do that too. You know, my high school sweetheart used to do that about me with his mom. And this is when I say people need to leave their they need to leave their family out of their business when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
relationships, because when things return better in their relationship, they want their family to be cool with their significant other. Well, then the family is still looking sideways at the significant other. You know what I'm saying? And it's uncomfortable. It's an
Yeah.
uncomfortable situation. So, when him and I were cool, his mama, would be, still kind of at odds with me, and so his sisters and stuff would kind of be like, you know what, ma, like it ain't all Mary's fault. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They was like, he ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing. So when him and I broke up and I sent him right back home to her, she got to seeing then finally she got to see what I was talking about, how lazy he was. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Then it was like, oh, okay. So his sister was like, now mama see what Mary was talking about. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Now, and then it was like, okay, he got to go. Now he's got to get the hell up out of her house. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And then
I
it's like, mama didn't want to believe what Mary was talking about. Now she see what Mary was talking about. Nah. There's your son. You wanted him
yeah.
back. Oh, he can come back home. He ain't got to be with her. This and the other, da, 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, no, 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 no. He got to go. He can't be up in here with all that, da, 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 all
No
this other stuff.
refund.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Return to
Hmm.
sender. I don't
No
Right.
want them.
refunds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Now here's your perfect son though. Here's your perfect son. You
Yeah.
know.
And I always say that, and not just in relationship with families
So moms
too.
that play that, oh my son, let's
Families
go with you,
will.
Mary. It's all about Mary.
Right. Right.
And I see that too in families, that they'll see a person and they'll do all kinds of things in the family, and the family would just accept it. They
Right.
cover up everything that they do. Like I don't care what kind of relationship it is, it in romantic relationship, in friendship, on the
Yeah.
job. Like if somebody is doing something wrong, people need to call them out and like, we're not going to support you in that. You need to change or you can't be around us.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
For me, it's more um, if my kids or whoever gives me something about their significant other, or whatever, I will say, what did you do to get that
Mm-hmm.
reaction?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? How did you guys get to that point?
Mm-hmm.
And and if anything, I will ask questions. So what are you going to do about that? How do you
Mm-hmm.
think you're going to solve that? But I'm not going to resent anyone that they're dating or whatever because that person was mean to my baby, because I know my baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Mm-hmm.
how the little brat can be. You know what I
Absolutely.
Hmm.
mean? So I don't put blinders on. I know my kids. I know
Mm-hmm.
that they can get on people's nerves. I know each and every one of them. So if their spouse, which I doubt, that they will come to me or say something, or my daughter will say something, I can stand this about him. I will say, well, why is he reacting that way? What are you doing for him to react like that? Because my dad always said there were two sides to a story.
Mm-hmm.
If my dad we ever came with something, he will say, well, let me hear the other side, let me hear the other person
Hmm.
and see, then I'll let you know what you can do about fixing it, or how you're going to do to apologize.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
One thing that I will say about my mom, why I respect her, she always told us that, like, in your relationships, she's like, I don't get involved. Do not involve me. And when
Right.
we try to tell something about our relationship, my mom would like
Mm-hmm.
cover her ears and be like, la la la, I don't want to hear it. She said, go and
Mm-hmm.
fix your own relationship. Do not involve me in it. And then you'll say, I did something to break up your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't involve me in it. And it's true. And I think that's one of the best advice that we can do for our friends and our family.
Mm-hmm.
When something is going wrong, don't just take their side and think
Mm-mm.
the other person is the bad guy.
Absolutely.
Also, like, okay, now okay, you're saying that, but what is the other side?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
tell tell
Exactly.
tell
absolutely.
me the full story.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just recently here, It's a little different story, but it's also about accountability. My son is 19 years old. Um, and I was in Vegas visiting my best friend over the weekend for my birthday. And so you guys, I usually take him to work at night. And so when my son graduated from high school, um, I gave him my other car that I had, my Durango. So all my son has to do is get his license, y'all. Now this boy supposed to been working on getting his license, still hasn't gotten his license yet. So, anyways, because I was out of town, he had to order himself a Uber to go to work that night. So he went to order an Uber. The guy came to pick him up or whatever, and as soon as he went to go get in the Uber or whatever, the guy basically saw that my son was black, took off, left him standing in the middle of the street. Okay. So it was a racial thing or whatever. And I'm upset about it or whatever. So we have to put a report in for this guy or whatever. Now, that was a situation or whatever. It totally unacceptable or whatever. I guess it's a thing that's going on or going around or whatever about them doing that to black people or whatever. And yeah, that's the thing that I'm upset about. But I'm all about accountability too, right? Because on the other hand, my son is 19 years old. And if he turns around and looks in the driveway, what's sitting there? His car. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
His car that is in running condition. Okay. That only needs gas, y'all. Okay. That only needs some gas in it is sitting in the driveway. If the car could talk, would probably be like, well, look here, homeboy. If you had that driver's license, you can start me up right now. Just go on down to the gas station and and go ahead on and go to work. But nah, you ain't got that driver's license. So at the end of the day, like I said about, I'm all about accountability because I'm like, well, I said, well, Jordan, I said, once again here, you're standing in the middle of the street, you mad, you pissed off. And I said, we're both angry. I said, but at the end of the day, son, if you would just get this driver's license, we would not be having this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So again, all about, like I said, I'm also about accountability. Now, as
Mm-hmm.
much as I'm pissed off at this Uber driver for what he did
And
to
you
my
should.
son,
Yeah,
you
we
know what
should.
I'm saying?
Everybody should.
I'm also about accountability. You know what I'm saying? Because if my son would have his driver's license, we would not be going through this situation. So, like I said, I always look at the situations from all standpoint. You know what I'm saying? All
Mm-hmm.
points of view. Now, I would never, and I'm not gonna sit up here and just be, hemming on this Uber driver when I know my son got his own damn car in that driveway. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I can't overlook that. You know
What's
what I'm saying?
stopping him from getting
You
the
know
driver's
what?
license?
I think it's fear because I think it's fear because we have crazy drivers out here and we've been caught in races as when I'm driving him to work, we've been caught in races. I think it's the fear of getting out
Mm,
there. I honestly think that's exactly what it is because we've been caught. And I'm gonna be completely honest, because I'm terrified. I
mm-hmm.
mean, it's my nerves are bad. It's my nerves are bad even, and to be honest, I'm not even, I mean, I completely understand them. I do. I get it, I understand it, but I even told him, I said, listen, you can even drive the streets until you're
Yeah,
completely
just
comfortable.
get it, just so that you can have it.
Just
Just
get it,
get it.
yeah, just get it so you can so you can have it. But I said, you and until you're comfortable, I said, you don't even have to drive on the freeways or nothing like that.
My
That's
kids couldn't wait. At
me
16, they
neither.
already had a driver's license.
Me neither. I mean, they wasn't driving like 100 miles. Like they wasn't driving like how they were driving now. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of the kids now, like my coworkers and stuff that are around his age and stuff, a lot of them now, they're just like my son. They will not go out and get their license. As a matter of fact, my best friend that I went to go visit, his niece, she's same way. She will not go get her license because she is terrified because of the way they be driving out there in Vegas or whatever.
They
She's
feel safer
terrified.
at home.
Yeah,
Or safer
they
having
feel
somebody else
safe.
driving.
they're traumatized by the way these other drivers are out here driving. They don't feel safe doing it. They rather somebody else drive them, and they're traumatized, by how, and they're really fearful, and I feel so bad for them. I really do, because it would make it so much easier for these parents. Because like I told my son, I said, you know what, I said October 1st I'm done. I said, either you're gonna have to Uber yourself to work, or you're gonna have to catch the bus, because it's cutting into my sleep, because I have to get up at
Mm-hmm.
3:30 every morning to go to work. So it's cutting into my sleep, and plus I'm like, I don't like being out here on these roads at night like that. I've been hit by drunk drivers twice, and I'm like, I don't, I really don't like it. And I'm like, you picked this shift because you're not a morning person, and I'm like, so I gotta push him. I really do. I gotta really push him to get this driver's license. I'm like, his car's sitting right there. I mean, and that's how I know, because I'm like, a homeless man. I said, man, you didn't had a homeless man defecating on the bus, right? And I'm like, that should have been enough for you to get your driver's license. The bus went on a strike. They went on a strike. You had to walk up that big old hill that I was walking, and my son's a big dude, and I'm like, you huffing and puffing in this heat. That should have been enough for you to get your driver's license. I mean, the dude has been through so much for him to get the driver's license, but I know, because they be driving so fast on these
now,
freeways.
now imagine, Mary. Okay,
Uh-huh.
imagine if you were married.
Uh-huh.
Imagine the problems, the arguments you'll be having with your significant other because
Oh,
of it.
oh, I know, because you know what? As a matter of fact, my boo thing that I was talking to, he was actually telling me, he was like, you need to start let he was telling me, he's like, you need to start telling, like having him take the Uber. He's like, when are you gonna have him start taking the Uber? But I was just like, my whole thing for him, and I was starting to have like issue, but my whole thing was like, listen, don't be telling me to do nothing with my son, because you ain't even got a relationship with your son. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, listen, don't tell me about no parenting, because my whole thing was like this: you can't tell me nothing about no parenting. I've been parenting this boy since he slid up out the vagina. Like, and that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? I get tired of these folks that be trying to tell me how to parent my son, when either they part-time parents, or you know what I'm saying, or they ain't even they don't have relationships with their own children. I'm like, don't sit up here and try to tell me you ain't even taking, you ain't even got a whole relationship with yours or something. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I've been taking care of this boy since he slid up out of here, homie. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, the thing of it is that if he didn't work nights, you guys, like, he would totally be taking that bus forward and backwards. But the thing of it is that he works nights, so that it scares me at the fact of
Then you
him.
have to tell him something's got to give,
Yeah,
and most likely
yeah.
will be him.
Right. And so the thing of it is like, my thing is that what's hovering over my head, because there was a guy that was driving around. He was randomly shooting people, and in actually in our neighborhood, and
Oh,
he was randomly driving around shooting people. So and one guy he actually killed. So I was like, the fact of my son standing at a bus stop or something, I was like, and I was telling the doctor I work with, I said, that would devastate me if something happened to my son, and I'm over here just trying to teach him a lesson. Because I remember watching like the first 48, a mother did that to her son. She told him not to leave the house or whatever, and he left the house, and some gang members were basically hounding him. He had asked his mom to come pick him up. She said, no, I told you not to leave the house. You're gonna have to walk home. Well, the gang members, they basically beat him up and they killed him. And the mother was like, she just was like, I should have went to go pick him up. And she said, and she just felt horrible that she did not go pick her son up. So it's like, and I told him, I said, I think about that episode all the time, but
it's that thin line. It's
right,
it's a
right,
struggle with this, and again, like, we go through the, and I was thinking right now that you're saying about your son, you have one.
right,
Marlene's parents had 10.
right, exactly. That's my
I
only
have
baby.
4. How do we
Yeah.
do it?
Look how y'all do it. Cause listen, that's what I
Marlene, how
said.
did your parents do
Well,
it?
let me tell you. like the reason why my parents were so good. My dad always used to say before a decision was made, he would have to say like, I got to talk to your mom, the same thing. So it never would go like if you tried to play one parent against the other, it never would work. Because
Mm.
my mom always said, "What did your dad say?"
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what
my
I used
mom
to say.
said, what did your mom tell
Yeah,
you?"
that's what we
So
used to do to our
yeah,
kids.
and then I'd be like, man.
Man,
So
mom, Dad just asked me to ask you.
Mm.
yeah, and they said, well, that means that I guess we have to talk to each other about it. And I think that sort of unity
Mhm.
is so important, especially when you have multiple children,
Mhm.
because you have to know your children. And my mom would be like, well, I'm not saying yes to something, and then later on your dad already had told you no, and then next thing,
Mm.
then you're going to be in an argument with your spouse because of you're playing games over here. She's like, no, no, no. Let's find out when you're. Wait till your dad gets home, and then we'll find out.
We'll talk about, and that's the thing though, and you see a lot of times this people I've seen couples that um have a kid first and then they get married, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then a year later they're getting divorced because it didn't work out, but they've had the kid for 5 years and lived together and was working out perfectly fine.
Mhm.
But then they
Mm.
get married and all this, like parenting inside, I guess the structure changes or whatever. But the thing, a lot of people don't know the that having kids, it's brings a lot of pressure, like tension to the marriage. A lot of,
Mhm.
if it's the father of your child, you can have a discussion with, right? It's
Mhm.
easier because he's the father. But if it's not, then that person gets upset.
Yeah.
Why are you babying
and
him so
and then
much?
and then the issue that there always was, my mom brought one kid in and my dad brought one kid in. It was always like my sister saying to my dad, well, you're not my dad, you know and
Mm.
then my
Yeah.
brother like, you're not my mom. So
Yeah.
so it had to become established after a certain period, like, I know I'm not your mother and I know I'm not your father, but what, because you live here, you're gonna respect me.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
Mm.
God I didn't have that.
Yeah.
That must be
So
so
Yeah.
hard.
that was difficult for them because, you know both on both sides, like, my brother was used to getting away with what he wanted to for a few years, and the same thing with my
Mhm.
sister.
Yeah.
So my mom is like, if we want to stay married, we're gonna have to respect each other's
Yeah, team up.
decisions.
That's
Yeah, we're
true.
gonna have to team up because my mom said in the beginning, she'd be like, "Don't talk to my daughter that way," and my dad be like, "Well, don't talk to my
Well,
son
and
that
that
way."
is, and there you
Mhm.
go. That's exactly where I wanted to
Mhm.
get at, Marlene, because that's
Mhm.
what they do a lot. And the thing is the kids don't know, right? That they're
Mhm.
they're they're not, there's a difference. But if you start saying that in front of them, then you're the one dividing the bond that they can form by saying, "Don't talk to my daughter like that." It's like, what? She's my daughter now. What do you mean I don't talk to her like that? I talk to everybody like that. So why can't I talk to your daughter like that? I
Mm-hmm.
talk to our other kids like that. So what is she so special? Or
Mhm.
why is he so special, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And you make that division. You don't allow the bonding to take place. And I tell this to people: I'm not telling you how to live. I'm not telling you how to do things. But if
Right.
you guys are gonna have an argument,
Uh, your mic went out, Nexie.
don't do it in front of kids or whatever into
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
the household. You guys have to talk about this before. That's why counseling. I always tell people, before you get married, go to counseling.
Mhm.
Have a good head start on that. Don't
Mhm.
wait until you're in. I wish that it will be a law, right? They will pass a law
Mhm.
saying you have to go to 8 weeks of counseling before you get married.
I wish it would too. I ain't never been married, and I honestly think it should. I think that
Yeah,
should
I
be
wish it
a
was
thing.
because I think it will work better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them knowing, because a lot of times people like when you're dating, it's a different guy, the one that wakes up next to you when you get married.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's especially if you guys haven't lived together yet, right? You start
Mm-hmm.
seeing the all of the, oh my god, you take off your socks like that, oh my god,
Right.
you don't put socks around my house, oh my god, you walk with your shoes on inside my house. No, it's like you start seeing all the things that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or, you know, the dishes on the table, hey, put it on the sink, what the heck. So all those things, if they will go to counseling, work them out before they get married, I think they will have greater success.
Mm-hmm.
At
I
least
think
that's
so.
what I think. Marriage, I know they say that it's not for everybody,
Right.
right? It's not. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to bring kids into the world, marriage establish them as both of your kids coming
Mm-hmm.
from a marriage.
And all
Paternity is not in
and
question.
all and also next to we also have to add too that counseling is going to help you even if you don't have children to deal with the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So when you have them,
you have to establish certain things. Like my mom says, she said she spent like the first 5 years of her marriage crying like every day because
Mm.
there was like no president established. Like, okay, my dad was used to doing what he did with his son, and she was used to doing what she did with her daughter, and then it was like, but it's not that way. It's not you doing what you do with your daughter and he do what he do with his son. No, we need to have a combined life and a
Right.
routine and all of those things. So I
yeah,
definitely think I
even before
definitely
they
think
have kids.
you have to establish some sort of routine for the family, like and even my mom and dad said, even establishing that maybe before you let the kids stay up all night till 11, 12 o'clock, but you can't do that if you want to have time with your spouse. So
My
she's like, kids need to go 9 o'clock. Good night. Yeah. Good night.
I'm
This
not
is me and your
sleepy.
dad's time.
I'm not sleepy, and I'm like, I'm not care. So good night.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. You have to have, and the thing is that that division, like I said, you know, your kid, my kid. If you're trying to, you know, if you get married, bring in a child with you, and he has one, and your mom had one, or it's only you bringing a child, you have to incorporate him. It's not your child; it's our child.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of whether his dad is out there too or his mom is out there too, it doesn't matter. You know, the minute you say, oh, that's my child, that's his child, the minute you do that to a kid, it does something in them.
Right.
If you say, no, that's my son too, that's, you know, that's my God's gift, that's my extra son or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or my other
My
son.
mom and dad, they before it became popular, they always said that's my bonus child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what that you have to establish, because if you both say like the person is irrelevant or that person doesn't matter and all, like if it's just my mom's child or it's just my dad's child, no, we are a blended family now. So it's going to be what's going to make this blended family happy, and you have to learn to establish some boundaries within that marriage, within the relationship, and even like my mom said, even having boundaries with your family. Because people, like, especially if you go into a relationship and you got a kid already, you got to establish, like, okay, I understand before you used to be over here all the time, but now things are different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to respect the person that I'm with, and you
Right.
can't come, and I'm not going to be hanging out with you every Friday till 2 in the morning. Like, everybody has to be like, it's going to be different for everybody.
It
Mm-hmm.
is. It is. I have, you know, like I've said before, Marlene has heard this, two headaches and two boys. Which one is mine or which one is not mine? You will never tell. You will never be able to tell.
Mm-hmm.
If are they all mine? You know, are they all not mine? So people don't know, you know,
Right.
and they don't, when they find out, they're like, what? Really? Oh wow, I didn't know that. People don't need to know. You know, your kids are your kids.
Right.
They're not, oh, that's my husband's son with somebody else or my husband's daughter with somebody else. It's just chaotic, but a lot of times we don't realize what it does to a child's mind when you make that difference
Right.
in treatment, and it does a number on them
Mm-hmm.
as
Mhm.
compared to if like let's say you meet a friend and oh, who's that? That's my son or that's my daughter, and
Mhm.
they even look at you like, oh, cool, I'm her daughter too, or I'm her son too.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot make, oh yeah, that's my stepchild. It's like you're putting that division.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a
You
division.
we don't, in my family, even from my dad, my grandfather, my father, we don't use step in our family.
Right.
you, you
Right.
know I have three little sisters my dad had with his second wife. I have my dad one and my dad two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have
Mhm.
a I never had a stepdad. I had dad two
Mm-hmm.
and dad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So and I had mom and mom two.
Right.
I didn't have a
Mhm.
stepmother or step siblings or step. We don't use step. The steps are only the
Mhm.
ones that you take going up and going down. We're
And
not gonna
Exactly.
step on anybody.
I also don't like the term half. Half
No.
No,
brother, half
me
Nope.
sister.
neither.
I don't like that either. It's just
Mm-mm.
Nope.
that's just your sister,
That's
and
just
Yep.
your
all.
sister.
And we have to say that too, and remind people like, oh, but we don't have the same daddy. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's my same with my
Hmm.
brother. He was my brother. We didn't have the same father, but he was my brother. I never said that Pepper was my half brother. Nope, he was my brother. Hell, we
Uh,
got the same mama, and like we never. And my
he's
daddy
your
never.
brother.
Yeah, he was my
It's just your
brother.
brother.
That's
Hmm.
my brother. I never said he was my half brother, or nothing like that. And the same thing with my son's sister. I call her my daughter.
Hmm.
And so people be like, "Well, Mary, I'm confused. I thought you only had one
Don't worry
kid."
about it. What do you
You
care?
know?
Just kidding.
Yeah, mind your business.
Yeah, don't
Don't
worry
worry
That's
about
what
it.
we always say. Mind your business.
Yeah, they be like, I'm confused. I thought you only have one kid or whatever. And I'm like,
Girl, you're like, girl, you were confused. You was
Mhm.
born confused.
And
right,
my mom used to say, "Yeah, I only birthed,
right,
9 kids, but
right.
then she was blessed with a bonus one, but also like." When you have children, then your children's friends also become your kids too. So
Right,
when
right.
when my mom passed away, my best friends and then like my siblings' friends too, we all grieved because that was everybody's mama.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I said Jordan's father has a daughter from a previous relationship, or whatever. And I said, so she's my daughter. And so they're like, oh, okay. It's like, I thought Jordan was your only kid. I'm like, well, biologically he is, you know, but I'm like, she is also my daughter, I'm like, and that's who I call her. That's who I do call her my daughter. She ain't, I accept her. She is my daughter I'm like, and I don't call her no step, and I do not call her his stepsister. That is his sister.
Exactly.
And
And it does something for the relationship when you stop doing that. Family
right.
members have to
Mm-hmm.
it forms like brokenness. It makes
Yeah.
brokenness in relationships when you do that. So,
Right. Right.
mhm.
And
Yes.
even though, like, because it was a real messed up situation too that had happened, because shit, his Jordan's dad, actually, hell, he didn't even tell me that he, at the time when we met, I didn't even know he was married to his wife at the time. So I didn't know he was married. So it was a real messed up situation. But, you know, I mean, we all worked out that situation. I ended up with Jordan. Jordan came up in the mix or whatever. But even me and his ex-wife, you know what I'm saying? We're cool.
Yeah.
She's Jordan's bonus mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm her daughter's bonus mom, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
Mhm.
she knew I did not know about that situation. You know what I'm saying? And that was, their marriage was in turmoil. You know what I'm saying? And he was basically, she knew, like, it was like, he was basically trying to get the divorce and everything, and it was just a whole big giant fireball that
And it has
shit.
nothing to do with the kids. It
And it
has
had
nothing
nothing
to
to,
do with the
Mhm.
children.
right. It
That's the
had
whole that's
nothing
the
to,
whole thing.
no,
Is
That
it
that
had
a lot
six.
of people mix
Right. It
them.
had nothing to do with the kids that's
Hmm.
going on, the babies and stuff and shit. It didn't have nothing to do with me. And, like I was totally blindsided by the situation and she
Oh,
knew
it
it,
happens.
you know. And she knew it, so she was like, and that's what she told her family. She was like, it's not like she knew what was going on. Shit, I was totally blindsided by the situation. Hell, he told me he was divorced already. Hell, I mean,
Mhm.
the way he was spending time, and she was like, she said it was her fault because she was like letting him go off and spend all this time away from home, and she didn't know it was her first marriage. And shit, they got married so young. She didn't understand. I said, let me tell you something. You never allow your husband to go off on any trips by his damn self. I said, if you ever get married again, you never let your husband go off on talking about he needs this alone time and shit. No, baby, you never let him go off.
Oh,
He
you
ain't no
want a
such
long
thing.
time? Sign this divorce, this dotted
Yes.
line in the divorce papers. Here
Oh,
you
Yeah.
go,
oh,
sweetheart.
guys, guess what's funny? When my dad would, like, my mom's like, "Oh yeah, it's a, I'm going away and stuff," and my dad would start packing his bags too.
Yeah. I'm telling you, just like I told my
And
high
and
school sweetheart.
he would say, "We can be alone together."
That's right. That's right. I'm telling you, my mama didn't raise no food. That's why I said I got hopped in that Altima. I was going to pick that dude, that my high school sweetheart up. You not about to be running around on me all night, dude. I don't know what you think this is. And I had told her, I said, no, you don't never put no trust in nobody like that. Never.
Mm-mm.
I'm like,
No,
talk about you
no.
need some alone time. Nah, we was. I'm like, I mean, I had no clue. That's why I didn't know he was married. Because usually, people that's in a relationship, they ain't got that much time on their hands.
Yeah, you don't.
You know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Hip dude
Yeah.
had so much time. That's why I said. This is why
You
I
have
said,
the big
y'all.
ring on your finger.
That's
Normally,
why I
right?
said. This is exactly why I said this. When these dudes, these single dudes, they be like, oh, they ain't got time for this and they ain't got time for that. I said, listen, let me tell y'all something. Y'all can't never tell me what y'all ain't got time for, because I'm gonna tell you, my baby daddy had more time in the world as a married man. Okay, don't sit up here and
Mm-hmm.
tell me what you can't. If everybody, if he could make time for what he really wanted to make time for, you as a single man can make time for stuff. Don't sit up here and tell
Yeah.
me about you being too busy, homeboy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
Yeah,
and guess what?
you
And guess what's funny, guys? What my dad used to do, because he was the most organized person, being a military man and everything. And he says,
ugh.
and he used to be like, I have 7 minutes on December the 12th.
Right.
I'll set you in there. And he would be serious, like, I'm supposed to be doing something. And he would look at his cat. Oh, yeah, I have 9 minutes. Come on, let's go.
But it's the way you're supposed to be. Like if you're married, I mean, you know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
12 minutes or 9 minutes would be the best minutes of your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You
I
know it.
can pencil you in. I got 9 minutes on December.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm gonna drop down because I'm gonna get that, take this bath and iron these scrubs and get ready for work tomorrow. But it's been
Well,
a lovely
the same,
topic
the
with
same
you
thing,
guys
Oh,
the
tonight.
same
Mary
thing,
B.
everybody. I was just about to end and say the same thing. It's been an
Yes.
awesome topic. I can't wait for the next one. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys, for
Yes.
joining.
You're
Have a
Thank you,
great
Mary
welcome.
night,
B. Thank you,
Mary.
Marlene, for
Good
having me.
night.
Thank you,
Good
chat, for putting
night.
up with us.
Thanks, chat.
Yep. I'll see you guys on Monday.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye
You're
bye.
staying behind, Marlene?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Always next week. Okay. Bye, guys.